And then you're going to pop this off. Hopefully we get a crit. 61k. Remember, we're built for defense. So we're going to be taking everything we learned in my Albedo guide and applying it to Albedo in a showcase video for you guys. Albedo is a very strong geo support / burst damage character. What does this mean? It means he's a support character. It means he's a support character who's going to be doing damage while another character is active, and then he's going to swap in and do a ton of damage for you guys. So there's a certain way that I'm running him right now. You guys can see 1341 attack and 1511 defense. This is one of those 2000 defense Albedo videos. Why is that? Now this is because I am choosing to run on his circlet a critical damage circlet. Why is this? This is because doing a defense percent circlet, we're jumping right in here for you guys. Even though I'm building him around his E, a defense percent circlet will give you a minuscule increase in damage on his elemental skill procs. However, running a critical damage circlet loses you literally a minimal amount of damage on the Z, but you do gain the critical damage on your elemental burst. Now you can build him around his E, you can build him around his elemental burst, his Q, but there's a certain point you guys are going to reach where it's not worth it to increase the E by 2% damage while you're losing a ton of damage on his elemental burst, because it's still going to do damage for you guys. You'll see that as we showcase him, even in something like old and new Abyss. So keep that in mind as well. So what are the rest of the stats that we're working on here? Now, this build that I'm running here, I'm not using Festering Desire on him. He does have another option for a weapon here. Festering Desire is still a very powerful weapon for him, one of his best weapons. But we also have the Harbinger of Dawn. Now, this is going to be a weapon you have to get straight out of the gacha, but it is a very powerful weapon, especially if you get enough of them. Hopefully been saving them up over time to use at refinement rank 5. Now this is because of two things here. It is a 3-star weapon. It does have lower base attack, as you can see, 401 here at level 90 versus the Festering Desire's 510. So not a huge amount, but it's still like 100 damage lower, 100 attack lower on that base attack there. You're also changing the energy recharge, so you have slower elemental recharge on your elemental burst, but you do gain a 46% critical damage increase. So this will increase the damage of your elemental skill as well as your elemental burst. But the big thing here is the refinement rank 5 vigorous. When your HP is above 90%, your critical hit rate is increased by 28%. This is huge. This makes the Harbinger of Dawn a giant critical damage and critical hit rate stat stick. Now this is going to be a fantastic weapon for him, but there's a couple stipulations. Now, you have to be above HP percent of 90%. That means you have to maintain him at nearly full HP at all times. This is pretty easy to do as you swap him in. Maybe you drop his E, then you leave, or you swap him in, you do your elemental burst, then you leave. But if you're not running a healer in your team, if you do happen to get hit, your run is over. Your damage is crippled at that point, right? Mine right now, if I would get hit and I cannot heal, I will drop down to 20%, 25% critical hit rate, and my damage is just going to be eternally hampered for the rest of that run. If you're doing Abyss with this character and you don't have a healer, this might not be the best weapon for you. But if you have a good healer, I'm going to be running him with Noelle, someone that can keep him up above that 90% HP. If you're good, you don't get hit, then this is going to be a good weapon for you, because it's going to increase your E damage by a substantial margin. It's going to increase your Q damage by a substantial margin, just because of that critical hit damage and that critical hit rate. Now, as you can see with this weapon on, we have 52% critical hit rate and 208% critical damage. We could get more critical damage, but we need to work on his artifacts a little bit more there. I know you guys love to see the artifacts that I'm running. I'm running him 2-piece Nobilis and 2-piece Archaic Petra right now. 15% geo damage, affects his E and his Q. And then the Nobilis is going to give him some elemental burst damage on top of that. I love that. Don't forget, even if you're not building him for his elemental burst, it still does do a lot of damage. The only thing that's weird about his elemental burst is the 7 additional blossoms that he does spawn inside his E radius. They are a little bit RNG, but they can hit for a substantial amount of damage. Now, the rest of the artifacts that we're running here for substats, we're doing defense percent sands, and we're trying to get critical hit chance and critical hit damage. We want to hit at least that 50% critical hit rate, that 2-to-1 ratio, that's fine as well. But the critical hit damage on the weapon we're using is going to boost our critical hit damage all up to that 208%. Without that weapon, we'd be at like 150, 160% critical hit damage, and obviously lower critical hit chance. We do get to wear a critical hit damage circlet because of that extra critical hit chance for this build, which is one of the strengths of that weapon. It makes it really easy to build this character. You don't have to have a ton of critical hit chance everywhere. You don't need a critical hit chance circlet you can use whatever it is that you want. So if you want to build that E, you don't care about his elemental burst, you can get a defense percent Sands and a defense percent Circlet as well if you want to, but I will advise you to go for that critical hit damage Sands. Your elemental burst can do some good damage. You're still using a Geo Goblet here. All of his big damage dealing skills is E and his Q, that's Geo damage. Critical hit damage substat here as well. This could be improved, but you guys know how it is with Goblets. A little bit hard on the soul to get all of the stats you need on a Geo Goblet. Getting that Geo element or that proper element on the Goblet's really hard. Crit hit chance, crit hit damage once again there, and then crit hit damage. And this could be a little bit better. Maybe we can get some crit hit chance on there, maybe some defense percent on the Royal Flora from the Nobles Oblige set here. So that's going to be his stats there for you guys here. You are going to be wanting to level up his E and his Q for his talents here. You don't really need to level up his auto attack skill. That's not anything. I have mine at level 1. That's not what he's here for. He's not my main damage dealer or anything of that imagination. Anyways, this is going to be the way to use him. It's all about his E and it's all about his Q. Do not forget about his Q. You'll see that we have 1500 defense and 1300 attack there. He does play very well with this sort of build with Bennett, right? Everyone plays well with Bennett because Bennett gives such a substantial attack bonus. 500 attack, 600 attack, 700 attack, 800 attack, 900 attack, up to like 1200 attack if you have a 5-star weapon for him for that big attack buff there. Why is this so good with Albedo though? Well, his attack's really low already, and we have really high multipliers, right? We have 208% critical hit damage, and we have 90% geo damage increase here. So Albedo's going to cause your elemental burst to hit for a ton of damage. So if you're using Albedo with Bennett, make sure you drop that elemental burst inside of Bennett's elemental burst as well. So you're gonna have like 2 circles going on. It's gonna be huge for you guys. So the team we're gonna be focused on in this video here is the team with Albedo on. He's gonna be our support damage dealer. He's gonna come in with big elemental burst damage while Bennett's elemental burst is up, and then afterwards he's gonna be supporting us with his E skill damage on top of that with the explosion. So you can see that his E is gonna be doing a fair amount of damage, 11k, 13k, 14k, something like of that nature, while we're spinning around with our Noel, just eliminating these enemies. It's just taking them out pretty easy here. So you can also, once you have access to it, once you proc it, you can proc it again by placing another one of his E's. That's going to help your ultimate generation out by a substantial amount. So keep that in mind as well when you're using your boy. Then you're going to pop this off. Hopefully we get a crit. 61k. Remember, we're built for defense. Yes, we are getting that 75% elemental damage bonus. That is a thing that's going on in this moment, but that also is something that they're testing right now. What does that mean? It means that if you've been paying attention to 1.3 Geo buffs and Zhongli buffs, you're going to get around a 28% damage increase from those changes in that patch if those do make it to live, which is a huge change. So we're going to go ahead, proc it, drop the E. Oh, we can't drop the E, it's on cooldown. Proc it, drop the E, drop it again. You can see another proc here whenever you see those little flowers blossoming. That's going to be another proc from his elemental skill. Physical damage 25%. I guess that doesn't help out our team at all, but we're going to go with that. Now remember, we are getting that 75, so that 61k crit would have probably been like a 50-ish k crit, something like that. So let's drop our flower, punch our dudes up a little bit. We're gonna pop this guy, boom, put the shield up, boom, and then we're just gonna bop. We're gonna bop some dudes. Pretty good. Got the proc, get the proc again. Nice follow-up damage there, and then we can go into one of our other characters. In this situation, mine's going to be Noel, and we can just do additional damage while we are inside the solar isotoma, which is going to be some nice additive damage in our run here. So we can go ahead and pop this again, and then pop this again, and just that's how Albedo is going to play out for you guys here. He just does his stuff off the battlefield. He's very similar to a character such as Fischl, right? A lot of people liken him to Fischl, and they are not wrong by any stretch of the imagination. You just go in there. We didn't have the elemental burst from Bennett that time, so we didn't have that big help for his very low attack for the build we're using right now, but we do have all of those big multipliers, so it's pretty strong anyway. Then we're just going to go ahead. We don't need to really utilize anything. It's the last guy here. So we got the proc again, and we got the proc one more time, so let's re-proc it. We're going to generate elemental energy every time we get a proc from his elemental skill there. So it's very interesting, the additional sort of elemental energy that you can gain from that character by landing the proc and then replanting the isotoma right away and then proccing again. Make sure you guys are doing that when you're using Albedo. It's a very powerful thing. They're at the final floor here. We're just kind of really we're just giving it to him. We're just giving it to him, this team here on this stage here. So we're gonna drop our stuff here, drop the Albedo flower, do some damage here, maybe break away some of these crystallization shields here for a second, and then pop the ult. Hopefully they didn't run away. Oh, I messed that up pretty bad. Cut that out, editor. Editor, where you at? Cut that out. So we're just taking with Noel here for now. We're just gonna break these shields up. That's fine. We got the proc from Albedo as well. Smack, smack, smack. Maybe gain some extra energy right here. Get the second proc. You see the double proc. That's going to be good to go there. And then we'll just keep hitting them here, Drop the teddy bear. Get some elemental energy there. Oh, no, we got the double proc there. The double flower bonus. That's how you know. Let this guy maybe walk in a little bit. Proc. It's just nice additive damage. It's like just having Fischl. There's a lot of ways you can use him too. You know, it doesn't always have to be just this sort of team composition. I've used him with Fischl too, to a great extent. So we're gonna drop this ultimate. We're gonna drop this ultimate. You're gonna fly behind us. We're gonna drop that. We're gonna hit you, and then we're gonna pop the burst, get the crit, go in here, smack, and then we're just gonna spin. And we'll get some extra procs. She's gonna teleport behind you because that's what she always does. We're just gonna keep spinning on her, keep spinning. Hit this guy again. Seems good there. Want some elemental energy. I know our proc was almost up right there, but I'm very impatient right now. Our proc should be up again. Combo this guy, bump him around a little bit. We can drop the burst if we wanted to, but we don't really need to drop that burst. I guess we will. Just drop the burst on him. Oh, we didn't crit. Okay. Albedo's an extremely powerful character there in any sort of form or function there. Remember, the thing that you're focusing on is his elemental skill, which is scaled off of defense percent, as well as his elemental burst. You can build him one of the other way, but you can see just how powerful he can become with a split build as well. You don't want to give up too much for one of the skills versus the other skills. So you really want to focus on that critical hit rate and that critical hit damage here. Now remember, we are using the Harbinger of Dawn, big critical hit rate, big critical hit damage, but the Festering Desire is also an incredibly powerful weapon. It doesn't give you that critical hit rate and critical hit damage, but it does give you the critical hit rate for the E and the increased skill damage on the E, including the procs, even if he's off the field. And then instead of increasing the damage of your elemental burst, if you want that extra energy recharge, it's going to give you faster elemental burst. So you'll hit more often with the elemental burst while still doing more damage. Either of these weapons are fantastic builds for him, but remember, if you're using the Harbinger, you have to make sure that your team can support that HP above 90%. He has to be nearly at full HP at all times there. Then build the artifacts. I'm using double Nobilis, double Petra, critical hit damage if you're using the sword I'm using, and then critical hit chance and critical hit damage substats there as well. Geo Goblet and defense percent sand. So if you guys haven't seen the Albedo guide, I'll have that link down below as well if you want to see more Genshin Impact content and coverage where you can figure out how to use the characters that you have access to and want to use to the best of their ability. Come and check out the channel. Want to see your comments down there with your smiling faces, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, guys.